Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. It is my pleasure to put on record my gratitude to Halal International Selangor for having us, Department of Standards Malaysia, in this prestigious ever event in the virtual Selangor Halal International Halal Conference. Nowadays, we have done it on virtual. It's a new norm, and to be speaking on this great live stream, so I feel both honored and humble for such a great opportunity and trust, and to be a part of this historical event. Congratulations HIS for setup and also convening this event. May Allah protect us and our family and wipe away this pandemic, insyaAllah, amin. Okay, I have given the task to update on Malaysian Standard 1500 2019, whereby this actually is the fourth edition of Malaysian Standard for halal food, namely Halal Food General Requirements, third revision, and by end of this presentation and sharing, we hope that you could embark on this halal journey, or you also can upgrade your business and also your knowledge on how to comply with halal requirements. So please bear with me for another perhaps 50 to 60 minutes for this kind of presentation. So I'm Shafiq from Department of Standards Malaysia. So just a little background on the Malaysian Standards. Department of Standards Malaysia has been established on 28 August 1996, whereby we are under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. Standards Malaysia is governed by Standards Malaysia Act 1996, Act 549, whereby we have two main function and roles, whereby the first one to develop the national standards body. We are the national standard body that develop Malaysian standard, and the second one, we are the national accreditation body, which tasked to accredit and those conformity assessment bodies. So Malaysian standard, for your information, is at par with the international standard, because we are referring and also comply with the principle for MS development, and also we need to comply with the WTO TBT agreement. So this standard is credible and also being a consensus of the Malaysian stakeholder. And the second one is more on the accreditation parts, whereby we accredit the testing, calibration labs, inspection bodies, and also certification bodies. Alright. This management of Malaysian Department of Standard Malaysia, whereby now is led by Director General Mr. Shahrul Sadri Alwi, and we have 4 divisions under the responsible and the leadership of our Director General. First, on the Standardisation division, Mr. Hussam Mirza. Second one is accreditation, Mr. Wan Rukiman. And also the management services, Puan Aruna, and Director of Strategic Planning, Ms. Nur Latifah Hussein. Alright. Okay, Standard Malaysia located in Cyberjaya, so please feel free to visit us in Cyberjaya. And now we go into the subject of what is standards. Standard is a document which established by consensus and approved by a recognized body that provide for common and repeated use, rule, guideline, and characteristic for activities of the result. Aim at the achievement of the optimum degree of order in a given context with which compliance is not mandatory. So in my hand right now is the Malaysian Standard MS1500. I would like to share here that any standards in the world developed, whether it is a national standard, international standard, Malaysian standard, the rule of thumb is every standard is voluntary. But in certain cases that these standards being referred in the technical regulation under regulators and also being enacted under the act or the technical regulation of certain country, then it can become a mandatory. Alright. Okay, the journey for halal is very important, whereby we understand at Malaysia we has developed one special committee, National Standards Committee, just to cater on the halal standard itself. Right now we have 25 sector, and one sector that has been tasked to do the halal standards is the Halal Standard Committee, NSCI. And then there is a various TC and also WGs under the National Halal Malaysia Infrastructure. Okay, just an update here that until 25 June, we has developed more than 5,000 Malaysian standard, and one of it is for MS1500, which has been published last year, 2019. And now is the stage for implementation by the regulators and also business entity. Alright. Next, the mandatory standard. It is very interesting because in Malaysia we have many sectors that has been regulated in terms of protecting the safety for health, environment, and also the people. So for halal itself, right now is still as a voluntary. It is up to the company business decision to embark or not to embark with the halal niche market. Okay. In terms of MS1500, the members team that has developed the Malaysian standard is by balanced representation from the regulators, universities, academia, and also from the industries, the consumer association, and also many stakeholders that think that the halal is very important to go forward. So in this task, Standards Malaysia is the secretariat for the development of Malaysian standard, and collectively we gather all the consensus, all the information, all the what we call the results to improve the Malaysian standard to another stage and for another steps. Okay. Just a little bit background for the journey of MS1500. It has been developed years back in 2000. It's almost 2 decades. Interestingly, that we have found actually before it's become Malaysian standard, the demand for halal has been found 1970s and earlier than that in terms of the market demand. So right now the market demand for 2000, another 2 years and another 30 years will be increasing, and I believe that many journal and also news reported that the demand for halal food especially will be increasing. Alright, the next slide is about how Malaysian standard development process. It started with the application by the stakeholders, and then some sort of NSC approval, and then we go to the drafting stage, whereby all the stakeholders will sit together and discuss from one meeting to another meeting and discuss on the requirement, the needs, and then we have the public comment stage for 60 days, and then we have the National Standard Committee acceptance, and later part will be approved by Minister. So in this regard, with the regard, the Malaysian standard development for indigenous standards such as MS1500 is developed under the timeline 12 and 18 months. Alright. Okay, now we go into the topics whereby in terms of the update of Malaysian Standard 1500. Now actually we have talking so many, it's about the background how the Malaysian standard is developed. Now we look into the pertinent part for how the structure of standard is being written. So the first one is started with the scope, second one normative reference, the third one in terms of term and definition, number 4 the main core of the Malaysian standard, which is requirements, number 5 is in terms of compliance, then the halal certificate, and last is about the halal certification mark. So one idea and tips how to read standard. Actually, in any standard, the following verbal forms are used. Means once you see the word inside the text document shall, it will indicate a requirement. If should, it indicates a recommendation. May indicates a permission, and also can indicate the possibility and capability. So once you read the standard, and then you can find which clause and which requirement needs to be complied with. So this is the main tips. I would say the main tip how to read the standards. Okay, in terms of MS1500 third revision, there are many changes here, and then we can divide it into the 3 changes and updates, whereby the first one in terms of numbering and renumbering of the clauses and the sub clauses under MS1500. The second one is the major changes what has happened in the latest revision of Malaysian Standard, included deletion of certain sub-clauses, and also addition of new requirements. And the third one is more on minor changes, such as rephrasing or fine-tuning the requirement for clarity and also further understanding of certain clause. Okay, we go into the first changes and update for this version of Malaysian Standard is on the title itself. Previously, it was named Halal Food Production, Preparation, Handling and Storage Generation Guidelines Second Revision. So it's very lengthy. Then the committee decided to make it a simpler version, whereby now we call it Halal Food General Requirements Third Revisions. So in terms of the stages, the process will be included inside the scope itself. And as you know also, in terms of the changes, previously it will cover on the practical guidance, but now the third revision will focus on specifying the general requirement that need to be complied when manufacturing and also handling halal foods. So it also serves as basic requirement for halal food in general. Alright. Previously, in terms of normative reference, the previous vision, we do not have any normative reference, but in the latest revision, we included MS2393, Islamic and Halal Principle Definition and Interpretation on Terminology, because MS2393 will define detail and elaborate more on the term, the Islamic term that you can refer. So with this regard, the text also put inside the normative references, whereby it is a must. Means once you read the MS1500, you need to also read together the MS2393 to get better understanding in certain terms that you need to know. Right? And then in terms of term and definition, what's most interesting here that in terms of general term and definition, there is updates under clause 3.6.2 on the nudge categories in terms of the Sharia law, whereby previously in terms of the text of the document, it's only a Sharia law, but in the latest revision, all the text Sharia law will be combined with Sharia law and fatwa. I do believe that certain countries, like outside country, they may use Islamic law what else they call Islamic Sharia law. But for Malaysia, it's very special because we refer the Sharia law as the Islamic law. So, alright. In terms of the major updates, there is a new introduction of clause for halal competent authority, halal in terms of food definition, the food term and definition, and also we introduced the non-halal term. 3.6 is about NAJ. We elaborate more on the NAJ. 3.10.2 is more on fatwa. Clause 3.8 on the processing area. Clause 3.9 is about sertu. Sertu is a part of a toharah, means Islamic method for cleansing and also cleaning. Once the matter being what we call being touched or contaminated with non-halal matters. Alright. And then we have also updated minor changes in the clause 3.4 in terms of halal food, clause 3.5 on halal slaughtering, clause 361 on NAJ. We also deleted a few ambiguous examples that may bring many discussion. And then we also updated the clause 4.1.6 and also clause 1.6 more on the storage part. Alright. Okay, in terms of the term and definition, the latest update will be the introduction of Halal Competent Authority, whereby in Malaysia, the Halal Competent Authority are Department of Islamic Development JAKIM and the various state of Islamic Religious Council. So, this is one of the update being introduced in the latest revision. And then we also update in terms of the halal that are lawful and permitted in Islam based on the Sharia law and fatwa. And also we introduce the words non-halal, which is also known as haram, so that the people can differentiate halal and non-halal. It is a different terms between halal and non-halal because in terms of certification, some product may halal but it's not certified halal. So this need to be understand well by the readers and also the industry, the term of halal and non-halal. Alright. Okay, the next one in terms of halal food. There are 7 criteria related to halal for covers food and beverages to be understand by the readers and also by the industry, whereby the halal food covers and fulfill the following condition. The first one, does not consist or contain any part of matter, animal that is prohibited by Sharia law and fatwa. The second one, the product, the halal food itself does not contain anything which is nash or impure according to Sharia law and fatwa. The third one is about does not intoxicate. The fourth one does not contain any part of human being. The fifth one is not poisonous or hazardous to health. The next one has not been prepared, processed, any instrument that is contaminated with nash. And number 7 has not in the course of preparing, processing, or storing been contact with the mix or in close proximity to any food that is failed to certify item mentioned above 3.4 and A and B. Alright. So this clause need to be clearly understand so that when you produce food, you know how to select a proper material, proper ingredients, proper animal, for example, as the raw material before processing into your food. It is among the main concern in this standard. Alright. Okay, next one. In terms of halal slaughtering, previously also we have the slaughtering term and definition. In this revision, we upgrade in terms of the word for halal slaughtering to reflect how actually the Islamic teaching on slaughtering being done. All right. The next term and definition is about the NASH, whereby we put some of the explanation matters that are impure according to Sharia law and fatwa. And then, we also what we call is some editorial changes on the Homar. Previously, we used Homar, but one of the what we call the language advisor lecturer to improve the word as the Homrun, so it align with the Arabic transliteration. All right. Okay, in terms of the category of NASH, there is like what we call renumbering. Previously, Mughallazah, Mukhaffafa, and Mutawasita. Now is the Mughallazah, Mutawasita, and Mukhaffafa. Previously, the number is not in order, so now we put it as it is to actually reflect what we call the level of NASH to make a better explanation. All right. Okay. In term, the next one is about processing area. The committee also decide to expand more on term of processing area because it is highly related to the scope of area for one company to put under the management for halal. So processing area is very important. It's a part of the premise. Your parking area, your inbound, outbound, be also an area whereby the processing area is more on the people directly produce the food. Will be whereby there will be a chances the risk of contamination for halal and also the hygiene part take place. So this processing area is introduced inside this halal food because knowing the importance of the place to process the food. Alright. And then also we introduced the word sertu. Sertu is a Islamic method for cleansing and also to purify the body once being contacted with najis al-mughallazah by using washing 7 times. We have been thinking previously we used the Islamic ritual cleansing something and then the committee decided to improve the word and we use the sertu, whereby it close to the bahasa Malaysia user. Sertu is a part of cleaning, Islamic cleaning under the title, under the chapter of Taharah in Islam. Okay, alright. Alright, the next one is on the Sharia law and fatwa. In this clause, we introduce the needs for fatwa as the legal opinion concerning Islamic law issued by competent Muslim scholar. So in Malaysia, that beside the Islamic law that has been gazetted, and also there is also the fatwa being issued by the competent Muslim scholar in every state and also by the National Fatwa Council. So fatwa is among the important things to decide and to give direction, especially on the new material, new ingredient that has been not yet found before or discussed before. For example, in the issue of cochineal as the colorant, the food colorant, and also, for example, for the issue of GM food. So Standards Malaysia and also the committee found that the need to include fatwa is very important, so that those issues related to fatwa opinion will be taken care, and also can be a guidance and reference to the stakeholder and also to the business entity. All right. Okay, the next one, in terms of the requirement clause, this is a main, I have said just now, this is the main, what we call the core of the document, whereby we need to comply with the requirements and the necessaries being outlined in this document. Once once the company can comply with the requirements, then it will help to facilitate later part the certification by the competent halal authority. Alright. In terms of general, there are few updates, especially on the renumbering, clause 4.1.3, 4.1.1, 4.2.7, clause 4.2.8. So I hope you can have Malaysian Standard document through www.jsm.gov.my, and thank you for those that has purchased the document. I hope that you can refer to your document and also look into what the changes has been made. Alright, major revision, there are a few requirements that has been added actually to facilitate and also improvise the business entity. And now, previously, the level of field is even. Now, those who can produce more value actually can get a better offer and also better demand. So we know that the supply and demand whereby, and then this is the new requirement that need to be consider and also to update for those who want to also keep in the market for halal. Alright, few clauses like the halal integrity, record management, religious practice, star supplier and distributor participation, commitment, praying area, device, utensil, machine, processing and equipment, brush, the use of brush, 4.3.5 on the device maintenance. It incorporate those two parts, whereby the first one in terms of the food hygiene and the second part will be in terms of the Sharia compliance. So this is the uniqueness of this document. It's not only talking about the risk-based management, but also it's talking about the integrity-based management. This is one of the standard that happen to be one of the what we call a very unique document, and also it has been accepted worldwide. So Malaysian Standard on 1500 also being recognized by others, halal CB in other country, and also this is the unique part of the Malaysian Standard that taking care of those factors. Alright, the minor changes under the clause 4.1.3, 4.2.5, 4.211, 4.4 and 4.5 more on bring clarity and also explain further on the clause itself. Alright. So now we look into actually what is the updates being mentioned, also added by the committee is about the first one in terms of the needs for a company to has a Muslim personnel who is responsible to ensure the effectiveness implementation of internal halal control system. Okay, that's the one. So sorry, my apology. The first one is talking about the halal integrity is preserved. Management shall ensure that the halal integrity is preserved. Previous document doesn't talk about the halal integrity, but now the burden of proof is being tasked and be responsible to the Muslim or the halal committee. For example, halal executive, a Muslim personnel, which being tasked or which being hired by the company. So the first one is about the halal integrity. For example, in this time of pandemic, the assessment, the certification process cannot be done physically. So now the task for halal executive, for the Muslim personnel that monitor, Muslim supervisor that being tasked in the company is being increased, whereby they need to look into the halal integrity, is well maintained, is well preserved, to supply the production for halal markets. Alright. The second one is about the appointment of Muslim personnel to ensure the effectiveness in implementation of halal, whether international halal control system or the halal assurance system. The further information of Malaysia halal management system can be further understand under the manual halal procedure Malaysian. Alright. 4.1.3, it's similarly like the previous version, whereby the needs for training to be conducted regularly to the relevant personnel in the business in terms of the halal principle and also its application. Alright. Okay. And then it's about maintaining and ensure that sufficient resources being made are provided by the company, by the organisation to handle the implementation of internal halal control system or halal assurance system. Alright. And then the next clause is shall ensure all related activities for manufacturing and handling of halal foods are properly recorded, and all document and record shall be maintained and traceable. This is very important in this time of pandemic. Just what I have shared just now, the importance of the Muslim supervisor or the halal executive to maintain those document and also related activities is in place, in a proper place, then whereby it can be traceable and also it can be maintained. And even though the assessments could not be done, but the document in terms of need can be submitted, can be assessed by the regulator, or can be provided by the business company. This is one of the advantage of having the new revision of Malaysian Standard on MS1500. Alright. The next one, in terms of the psychology, what we call the environment, the management shall allow the Muslim personnel to fulfill the obligation of their religious practice. I believe that nowadays that people needs to control the psychological health, whereby for Muslim to fulfill the obligation is one of the needs by the Muslim and by the community. Alright, so the next one is shall ensure the participation and commitment by staff in various departments and all level within the company, whereby including the company suppliers and the producers to preserve the halal integrity. So, in this matter, the company has to be responsible one step further and one step backward. Why I say like that? Because the company has to make sure that the supplier also can supply halal ingredient, for example, and at the later part of one single step after distributor, the distributor can preserve the halal integrity of your company product. So in this matter, it is important. The supplier can supply, okay, I would like to have this kind of plastic packaging that halal, and then we need to have the distributor like lorry, like forwarder that can preserve the halal integrity and do not bring a bad image of mixing with non-halal matters, for example. Alright. And then in terms of requirement and premises and facilities, mostly the term in this part is talking about the food hygiene and food security. So previously, in terms of loading and unloading bay, shall be appropriate designed to allow effective transfer of good, whether it is a perishable product or non-perishable products, then it needs to be appropriately designed. How do you maintain the effective transfer? It can be through the time, it can be through the a lot of methods. Some use a few doors or bay to receive the product, for example. Some use the time, what we call the time gap, product inbound and outbound. So this has to be efficient to reduce and also to avoid contamination, whether it is a food safety contamination, physical, biological, or chemical, or it is a haram matters. Haram matters means here is the haram matters. Naj al-mughalazah, like the matters that are not halal in Islam, for example, right? Okay, with regard to the premise and facilities, it's very straightforward that you need to keep the good condition, hygienic, and maintain to prevent the pest access, and also to eliminate a potential breeding site. For example, the lights, you need to cover it, the drain, and also you have a proper drain management, and also how you manage your waste is a part of the hygiene that well taken care in this halal food management system. And also the premise shall effectively segregated with any pig farm. For example, in this regard, in a pig farm, a non-halal farm, to prevent the contamination. So this is important because a certain country may have many what we call pig farm. So it is important to maintain the halalness provided by the company. Okay, the next one, what is about slaughtering and processing premises. Similarly, like the previous version, adequate sanitary facilities also shall be provided and maintained. Similarly, sanitary facilities can be the room for staff to changes the clothes or the what we call the uniform, and also sanitary facilities like the hand wash basin for handling food need to be adequately provided, okay, and maintained. Okay, and the next one is on the processing area. The production area shall not have any tool and element of religious worship. So in this case, that few places inside the processing areas need to be dedicated for producing your halal food only or halal product only. Other places, for example, the tool and element should be separated outside the processing area. For example, the Muslim praying area shall be provided and appropriately located and well maintained. Some of the area is need to be outside the processing area. Okay, alright. The next one in terms of premise and facilities is about the needs. Previously, it's talking about pests and other animal shall be refrained from entering the premises. But with this coming version, with the latest version, the committee decided to put that pets, even though you have exotic pets or what so called, shall be prohibited from entering the premise. It also aligned with the food hygiene requirements, right? Okay, the next one is on the device, utensil, machine and processing aid, processing and also equipment. The committee decided to put inside the equipment whereby the needs to make sure the cleaning of this device utility machine need to be complied by the company. And also, for example, that some of the company is the new company, and they need to what we call, they use, for example, a second hand utensil machine by the unknown source. So it is important that the sertu is being conducted, and this procedure shall be supervised and verified by the halal competent authority. And the second clause is talking about converting the nash al-mughalazah. For example, previously they produced a product with using a ambiguous item or haram item, but now they want to convert into a halal, fully halal productions. Then it can be only happen once only. Once you use the line, the company, to embark on halal, then its later will be halal only. Alright. That's why it is mentioned here, the repetition in converting the line to nash al-mughallazah line and back to the halal line shall not be permitted. So once you certify halal, then you would go to continuously producing halal goods. So I like to share a few international company that they want to tap for those non-Muslim market and also Muslim market. What they did is they set up a two separate plant. I mean, one in certain area and another one in other area. So one is totally for halal production and another one is non-halal production. It's a business decision that the company can take to cater the market. Alright, I found it's a good strategy of marketing. Alright, the next one is the use of appliances or brushes from animal hair is prohibited. Nowadays we have a lot of synthetic brush can be used for production, for cleaning the premise, cleaning the utensils, cleaning the machines. So nowadays we most of the brushes is from the synthetic. Synthetic is allowed, and from the animal brush is not allowed. It is also concern for the food security of the production. All right. Okay, this also covering about the hygiene factor. These processing aids, the equipment, processing aids may be what we call finished or disappeared after being used. But it talking about device, utensil, machine, and equipment, this shall be cleaned and maintained regularly. All right. Okay, in terms of food safety, I think it's very straightforward that you need to implement measure to avoid the physical, biological, and chemical contamination, and also to bring a food safety program in the business. So this is a line. For example, you have been certified by national equivalent or national safety food safety management system, for example. This will facilitate and also what we call will speed up the one part of the application to get halal. Alright, for example, nowadays we have a lot of food safety management system like good manufacturing practice. Some of them, some of the countries, they have HACCP, halal, what we call the HACCP, hazard analysis critical control point. And then like Malaysia, we have MESTI, which monitored by Ministry of Health. So this kind of what we call food safety management system need to be complied by the company. Alright. So the next part is on the processing of halal food. What is the source? For example, we have animal. The later part we will be sharing more on what is the animal you can use, what they accept, what we call cannot be eaten animal. So this under the clause 4.5, where you can further read in terms of the use of the sources like this land animal. Like the predatory bird is similarly like the previous version, and also we also incorporate those animal that is prohibited or forbidden by to be eaten according to Sharia law and fatwa. Alright, and also you're talking also about the aquatic animals that can be what we call can be eaten or to be the ingredient. As long as it is permissible by Sharia law and fatwa. Alright. Under the plants also as the ingredient, as the source of food, microorganism, it's similarly those that are poisonous, intoxicate and hazard to health. It is very clear that this characteristic will what we call it will reflect in terms of the halal, the permission. Alright. And then we have the in terms of GM, in terms of beverage, and also previously we talking about genetically modified food, but in this version we improvise the text into GMO, whereby it can be consist of food or beverages. In Malaysia, we are stand guided by fatwa in terms of the GM food. Alright. Alright. Notwithstanding, the product from hazardous aquatic animal or plant are halal when the toxin or poison has been eliminated during processing or as permitted by Sharia law and fatwa. Alright. For example, we have some special fish from East Malaysia, that is very poisonous. But once we take out the poison, clearly after we process it and then we cook it, and then can be eaten. Alright, it's some sort of exotic animal fish type. Alright. Product manufacturing, handling and serving, 4.5.2 it covers more on the needs food to be processed using any component or product of animal, whereby this also need to be highlight during the application for halal. Alright. Product shall be prepared, processed or manufactured using equipment and facilities that are free contamination from najis. Alright. The next one in terms of storage, transportation, display, sale, serving of halal food. All halal food that are stored, transported, displayed, sold, served shall be categorized and labeled as halal. This will help the consumer, your client, to know that the product you produce is halal, and then they can preserve, they can take care the integrity of the halal food. Okay. Transportation vehicle that dedicated and appropriate to the type of the halal food and safety hygiene. For example, you will be using a cold truck if you are transferring the cool perishable product. So for example, and at the same time you need to know that to make sure, for example, the transportation also know about the importance of halal bringing the halal product in the transportation or lorry. Right. And then in terms of packaging and labeling, some of the material may contain from any raw material that are declared as nash. I believe that most of the packaging is coming from the petroleum derivative, but some manners the production of plastic packaging, for example, some lubricant being used to produce the packaging is also need to be concerned. Perhaps they can bring what we call the lubricant that are not complying to Sharia. That also is very important to get update in terms of the packaging material that is not in contact with non-halal lubricant, for example. Alright. Packaging shall not have any toxic effect on the food, also being taken care in this requirement. Similarly, like the previous version, packaging design, sign, symbol, name and picture shall not be misleading and contravening the principle of Sharia law. This also clearly mentioned inside the revision of MS document. Alright. This clause can be used by the regulators. For example, if one company using the design, sign or symbol that is misleading, or using a indecent symbol, but at the same time they bring the halal logo, so this can be used actually to take action to those not taking care in the integrity and preserving the image of halal. Alright. In terms of packaging and labeling, this clause also cover about similarly like previous version. The product cannot be synonymously named after non-halal products such as ham, bak kuteh, bacon, beer, rum, de-alcoholized alcohol, for example. That might create confusion. So here, it's not only the name, but the content itself need to be not only the content itself, but the name, the company or the business name, the product also may concern the consumer and also the concern the regulators. In Malaysia, for example, we have a lot of dessert or food that using the animal names, some animal names, so it can be improvised, and also those who like to jump into halal, they need to consider in terms of giving a good name for the product. Alright. Okay, the next one is on packaging, labeling. Further discuss on how you should label in terms of the name, product, country, origin, and for example for the meat product, the label, the mark, the date, what you need to present on the product. Alright. Packaging and labeling also mention about shall not contravene with the principle of Sharia law and fatwa, and also shall not display indecent element which are against Sharia law and guideline by the competent authority. Alright. The next one, in terms of the legal requirements, all activities shall in other aspect comply with the legislation including other relevant requirement currently enforced in Malaysia or producing country. That's even though we are not talking in the standard draft, in the standard document, we are not talking about the need to comply with your what we call business license issuer. For example, in Malaysia we have Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, or you need to comply with tax, inland board, and also the needs to comply with the local competent authority like Perbadanan PBT. Even though we not mention about the task or responsible by the business or organisation to comply with other requirements, this clause is mentioned to cover those activities. Some of the company may need to comply with the water regulation or the air pollution index, for example, by certain ministry. So this clause will cover on these matters. Alright. And then the next clause is on compliance. This standard shall be used to demonstrate compliance towards certification of halal food by the halal competent authority. So actually, once you comply to the standard, actually you have about 50 to 70% to get the certification. Demonstrate compliance toward certification by the halal competent authority. So it is very important that because for certification, I believe that standard is one of the reference. Certification also need a few more further document that you need to comply with. But once you comply to the standard, then it will help facilitate your business to embark and then to get the halal certification from the halal competent authority. And the procedure and requirements for certification will be as specified by the halal competent authority. I believe that later part, the topic on certification will cover by the halal competent authority. Then it will guide you how to get the halal certification and also to bring the goodness of halal logo to get bigger market. Alright. For example, like this, we have the halal certificate shall be issued by the halal competent authority in Malaysia. Like Selangor, we have JAIS. And then we have, in terms of halal certification mark, it will be issued by the halal competent authority upon complying those requirements by the halal competent authority, included the MS1500 2019. Alright. And also the logo may be marked, the product may be marked with the halal certification logo of that authority. So once you get the halal, then it will bring your business, your product, a better acceptance and also better assurance by the consumer. Okay, the next one is about annex. Previously we have annex on the halal slaughtering part, but in this revision we do not have the slaughtering part, the process part of the slaughtering for animal, for the poultry and ruminant. Those requirements will be included in the next new standard for Malaysia with regard to halal meat production. It will be one single standard itself because the stakeholder thinks that the need for halal processing, halal meat production need to be in one standard rather than included in this halal food. Halal food is very general, covering those producing food, covering the restaurant, covering the hotel, kitchen, and also the home-based product maker, or the what we call now we have food truck also can be applied halal MS1500. But in terms for halal production, especially for the halal slaughterer, the abattoir, the requirement for stunning requirement will be covered in the new standard that we hope that can be published later part of next year. Alright. So in terms of Annex A, it covers on the SERTU guideline, how actually we conduct the cleaning for najis al-mughallazah. It is the further information of this can be also referred to the guideline by JAKIM, but this is the main general requirement and also the need to perform the sertu washing Islamic washing methods. Alright. So other update, what just I have mentioned just now, the deletion of clauses on slaughtering processes, and also for halal meat production related activities. So now I like to bring the viewer in terms of Malaysia participation and cooperation through the Malaysian Standard of MS1500. The MS has been referred in SMIC standard, and also it also has been referred in ASEAN Working Group for Halal Food, and then what is also covered into the Cooperation for Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand, CIMT. So those guideline and also standard being referred, they are also referring to MS 1500 2019 as we as the pioneer and also well-known halal food standards. Alright. And the most interesting that these countries like SMIC, like the ASEAN, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, they have the door to access the Muslim population in these 37 Muslim countries, 240 million Muslim in ASEAN, Indonesia. This is the potential of using and also complying to Malaysian standard and get the halal logo. So what can I say that if you do not have the halal certification right now, it is time to decide now the needs, what we call the needs to embark on halal certification through the halal competent authority in your country is very pertinent and very demandful. So I think I'd like also to update a few of Malaysian standard that has been right now being draft in terms of halal. Standards Malaysia we are working with the national expert to draft right now the halal professional standard. The second one, the halal consumer goods, because we see the needs to provide the halal consumer goods is important. For example, for the water filter, for the animal feed, those is very important that we see that the demand is keep increasing. And then we have halal meat and poultry production, general requirement. And then we have halal food, the next, what we call the next level, next level or next prerequisite for onboard meals. This will help the air flight caterer or food provider to also produce halal food in the aviation industry. Alright. The next one is more on the test method for porcine DNA, cosmetic, cleaning agent, and also the guideline for validation of chemometric analysis using chemical analytical data for halal production authenticity. So it's more on the test method to develop by the expert to produce a valid test method. Alright. And the last one will be covering on the sertu general requirement. So those is a few updates that we Standards Malaysia are also inviting all experts in the area of halal or non-halal industry can join us, providing information, providing your expertise in our technical and working group area. especially for Malaysian. So with that, I think I have come to end of my presentation. I would like to thanks again Halal International Selangor. Actually, you can contact me at the shafiq@jsm.gov.my. I believe that the needs for halal will be keep increasing. In my personal opinion, that with the pandemic effect to the worldwide community, whereby the needs for foods, the need for survival, the need for the basic need is very increasing. It's increasing. Then it is an opportunity for the business and also the food provider to provide a good hygienic halal food and beverage. Alright. So with that, I'm again would like to thanks Halal International Selangor for providing the stage and also the opportunity for us Standards Malaysia in this event. We would like to congratulate and also hope to see and meet you again, inshallah. We also welcome any cooperation, discussion with any entity in terms of standards and accreditation field with all of the viewer. So with that, again, I close my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and till we meet again.